Hello, 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 and greetings, adventurers of Vera. Welcome to Tavern Talk at the Golden Feather Tavern. We are Vertek and Chibi, keepers of this fine establishment. The Golden Feather Tavern is open to all travelers to come and share their thoughts on the inner workings of Vera over a nice tankard of ale, mead, hot chocolate, or other delicious beverage of choice. So, raise your glass, pull up a chair, as we delve into tonight's discussions. Today is the 13th of August, 2024. We are on episode 28, Storytelling with Archetypes. And Chibi, first off, how are you doing today, and what do we have on tap?
I'm doing pretty good. I hope I did pretty well with getting us live, because I'm officially portaling in from Vertek's computer tonight. So Wizzy wants to know if there's a cover charge. You know what? Just because you're a regular, not for you. Not for you. Plus, you're very kind, so you tend to give everybody like gifts and stuff, you know, getting them a drink, you know, around, if you will. So no cover charge for you.
Status.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, aside from that, it's pretty good. I had a pretty good day today. Didn't get into the gym, but I did do my workout from home, and then of course getting all this set up. But tonight, well, actually, before I get into that, how are you though? You're traveling as an adventurer does.
Yeah, as adventurers do. I am indeed traveling. I'm on the road on a quest for my occupation, for my artisanship. Out here, just wandering around.
Your artisan class has you on a special quest line at the moment.
It does. Trying to earn extra points, get to that Grandmaster status.
Yeah, there you go. I love how easily it is that we can like just make it so Ashes themed. But tonight we're going to be talking about, if you couldn't tell, storytelling with archetypes, which is the newest dev discussion that Intrepid has put forth. So we're going to be talking about how we would like to see character archetypes being woven into the lore of Ashes, as well as other storytelling elements, and of course, anything that goes on Tuesdays at the tavern. So who knows what else we'll end up talking about, but if any of these topics sound interesting to you, please, if you've been a part of our Discord conversations or our live streams previously, we welcome you to join the discussion with us in voice. Feel free to join the live stream queue. Otherwise, feel free to share your thoughts in chat, whether you are here live or you're watching us after the fact. Please consider giving us a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and make sure to hit that notification bell when you want to see us go live or post. With that, let's see, on the road again. Just can't wait to get on the road again. Fupo's over there singing.
Can't wait to get on the road again.
Special quests are always interesting. Exactly, does Revis. Is there anything a troll cave? Is there isn't.
If there isn't.
If there isn't a troll cave on this quest, I'm not interested in joining. Very fair. Very fair. You know, real quick, on the topic of storytelling and archetypes, what better time to announce that we are having our roleplay summit on the 14th of September. I don't know exactly what time yet. We still have the forum open. If you want to join our Discord channel, or our server rather, in the special events channel, there's the link to the forum for you to fill out. We're welcoming all peoples that want to come and talk to apply, and we will be whittling down on Saturday who's actually going to be in and what times, so that way we can have a month ahead of time to give all of our guests the info they need, essentially. Can we have Vertek do the whole podcast in that southern drawl, please? Oh, did you have a southern drawl? Was that, were you putting on an accent?
I did for a quick moment. Yeah, for the song. Just for the song.
Okay.
It's going to cost extra if you want it for the full podcast.
Oh, man. Not sure what roleplay is. We'll watch so we can learn about it. Oh, sure, Fupo. Oh, sure. Totally not the person roleplaying as the lovable black cat of the groups, but you know. Yeah, there's the interest form. Thank you, Vertec. For those that want to apply, go ahead and check that out. So yeah, let's get into it. So first and foremost, the dev discussion, number 66, by the way, is storytelling with archetypes. And what they're asking specifically is, how would you like to see character archetypes, like the Bard, for example, be integrated into Ashes of Creation's lore and storytelling to enrich world building? You are super confusing me, AV, because people are chatting with us on Twitch right now. And I see that we are live, so you're confusing me at the moment. But if you want, I can go ahead and
Yeah, I might just need to refresh.
Yeah, there you go. I can go ahead and talk about what people have said from my cursory glance, or you can tell me what you think.
Well, I guess we could start off with our thoughts here, right?
Okay, well, since I'm running this at home base and you are kind of my guest, go ahead. What are your thoughts?
Okay, so I think it would be really cool, and the big question that I have is, do you think it should be lore as far as what they were doing on Sanctus and how they developed those specific archetypes on Sanctus? They got used to them and then they brought them over to Vera? Or should these same roles or similar roles, maybe certain class names and whatnot, were used in the past, and this is just the modern interpretation because of how long they were on Sanctus without magic, I might add.
Yeah.
So things like Summoner and Mage weren't really a thing on Sanctus. So,
well, and this is actually tying back into roleplay. This is actually something that I'm role playing currently with the roleplay community, specifically Gilded House. And we're talking because I want to play cleric. I might dabble into bard. We'll see. But as you mentioned, there's no magic on Sanctus, right? So there's no healing magic. So how would I go about healing? Well, how would I heal somebody in the real world? Medicine. I don't think we have science that we have here in the real world. So I'm looking to medieval medicine. So like poultices and herbal remedies and things like that. But yeah, throw bandages at people and just hope they're okay.
how funny would it be if it was almost like an isekai situation where Sanctus was all like super advanced and had like healing microbots and stuff like that, and they step over here, they're like, how do I heal people without my little mini bots?
Oh no.
Oh, magic. Oh wow, okay.
Arthas says bards should loot specific items they take back to the tavern to craft into a song. Oh, Arthas, I'm gonna have to hold on to that one. Is there a way I can hold on to this? Can I save this for later? I can't. Not with this. Okay. Remind me, Arthas. Remind me, because I want to bring that up in a second. But for me, I was thinking one of two ways. First option. You only create your character in the character creator, but once you get into Vera, you talk to different NPCs, and that's how you select your class. You have to take on the class quest to become that profession, that archetype, or you choose it in the character creation, but it only like adjusts your character stats, so what your character stats would be on Sanctus. So when you're coming through the portal, they're like, adventurer, you look like you'd be a great fit for the tank role. You should go talk to so-and-so about how to help defend our front lines or something like that. And then that way it's integrating a more natural way of bringing you in. But I like the heal bot too.
I just thought it would be neat. Oh. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna read AV's conversation comment.
Oh yeah, go for it.
So AV says, on a side note, while I'm thinking about it, are there plans for the roleplay community to go on the same realm? I think there is an intention to have an unofficial roleplay server. Don't know what that is. We don't know what the servers are in terms of server names. But I think that is something that I've heard tossed around a lot. Also, Hera says, I would absolutely love to see archetype class speech options with NPCs. Not every NPC, of course, but maybe dialogue threads you can pull at for more information. But what were you going to say?
But yeah, just a quick comment on Hera's mentioned there. Like, it'd be neat if you're walking around in the forest and there's just, a random ranger like scouting about and doing stuff, and you can only really talk to them outside of the "hello, stranger." Like outside of something like that, to get more dialogue options, you would also have to be a ranger.
I like
be able
that.
to maybe do some tracking and such.
Yeah, absolutely. Was there something else that you were gonna bring up?
Yeah. I was gonna say, speaking of different classes and archetypes being in existence on Sanctus versus Vera, I always thought it'd be a cool intro tutorial / introduction to the archetypes, and also an interesting way of explaining how somebody suddenly knows how to mage when they've never maged before and have no idea what a mage is. If when you start the game, you start your class, and as you're loading in, you can play something almost akin to what Apocalypse was, where it's just like a scenario of like the end of days, etc., where you can play as a certain archetype at maybe not max level, but like level 30 or something like that, to get a really good feel for what that archetype is supposed to be, like the core of that archetype.
Yeah.
Do like almost a little scenario in there. I think I always thought that'd be a cool explanation on how they even know how to do magic.
Yeah, and that actually brings us to some of the suggestions that the community had already on that that thread. Senator Dodo was suggesting things like the summons. Well, actually, hold on. Before I get to that, Heartbeat was speaking to the fact that the world was already in existence before we came back to Vera, and that they think it would be important to show that we aren't the first people to experience that archetype as a class. So like showing that there's a history of Vera and that we're not like the ones that created these archetypes necessarily. We're just the ones that are re-entering into Vera and then harnessing that power.
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to respond to what Basil said, a vision quest to test out the classes. Exactly. And that's part of what I didn't actually add to my explanation is, the gateways were built to eventually return, right?
Right.
So
exactly.
within those gateways was built a message from the gods, like, here's part of your history. Here's part of what you have not been experiencing.
Right.
And kind of explain like the mage, which you have no clue about, used to be a very strong member of the adventuring class system, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, and Lulu said that he would like to see huge quest chains for the different archetypes, and someone else added into that saying integrating like the history of the archetype into the storyline in terms of like the history of Vera and the said archetype. So even it would be cool, like we chatted previously about cinematics, right? It would be really, really cool to see a cinematic pop in where they're talking about the history of the cleric, they're talking about the history of the bard, and how our predecessors ended up coming to learning how to do those things. How did you know to harness music to buff your allies and debuff the enemies? You know, how did you come to harness the magic, the essence on Vera to heal people, to protect people, things like that. You know, I think those are all interesting things and are really good ways to really tie people in, because again, we don't know a whole lot about the lore for Ashes at the moment. That for those of us that have been following a very long time, we know that Intrepid, Steven specifically, loves to keep that ever close to his heart, or his chest rather, and we always look forward to, for those of you that might be new, we always look forward to October timeframe, October, November, when they do the charity stream, because that is usually when they do their Pathfinder campaign, and we usually get a really nice lore dump from said Pathfinder campaign. Oracle said, my ideal MMO would have your class grow on you. So the actions you used most, you got better at. And getting better at something opens up other actions. So you organically build how you like to play. And I think that's kind of, welcome in, by the way. I think that's kind of how they were intending the skill tree to be, right? As you're leveling, you're getting better at using your skills. So then you're able to learn a new skill. Whether you choose to role play learning the new skill or what have you. I know that it won't happen, though, when I was thinking of my ideal MMO. That's what I was thinking. That's fair. Class Fantasy, I hope, is going to have focus in the game. Archetype specific quest chains were one of my favorite things in WoW regarding druid shapeshift quest chains. Exactly. And I think that adds a lot more meaning behind what you're doing. You know, I loved being able to be a healer and heal people while they're talking about like the skill and the importance of it. Do you have anything like that from like WildStar or any of the other games you've played, Vertag?
There were some class specific quests, I do believe, in WildStar, but it wasn't like a giant lengthy thing. But
yeah.
I absolutely agree with Keyboard though. Like, it would be great, and it would have been a great thing if Ashes kind of picked up that kind of mantle and really made it player agency. Like, you had to go and find certain quest chains to get skills, and once you develop those skills, you know, you'd have to use them in order to get better at them, and that's how you would get your points to be able to spend.
Yeah,
the more you use certain skills, and you could cap out at getting like 5 points for the use of any one specific skill. So you'd have to use all of them in order to get better overall, but then you could spend those points to power up specific ones that you want more powered up.
And I wonder if I'm in the minority here, and feel free to speak up, chat, but I really enjoyed, there was a period in time when I was playing World of Warcraft where you had to go back to the major cities, to the trainers, to learn your next skill. So there was like a reason to go talk to somebody, and that was a great time to add some lore if you wanted to. And they would have you like do different things to learn your skills. Obviously, after a period of time, you just go back to them and then just click, just learn, learn all or something like that. And then you just skip the dialogue. But I don't know. I really like the idea of having to go back to the trainer, because it really cements that idea of like, we're not just gifted, somebody is teaching us how to be our class, and I really appreciated that. But when it went away after a certain period of time, and I kind of missed it, but I never really. Yeah, exactly, Basil. I like having a trainer, feels more connected to the world. Exactly, 100%. Going back is important, makes the growth feel grounded in the world. Exactly. Okay, cool. I'm not alone. I'm happy to hear that. Something about getting beat by someone named Wizzy McNasty using her #1 foam finger paints an interesting image. Hey, it was serious.
Oh, goodness.
The class quest lines in Legion were pretty good. Honestly, I really liked having the unique mounts and stuff too from the class quest lines, like a certain armor, like Final Fantasy, right? Final Fantasy 14 has where you do your class quest line, you get unique armor for your class or your job.
Yeah, I like the. So I'm of a mixed opinion on the going to class trainers in order to train your abilities. For one, I like the connection of going to somebody to teach you things. I don't, however, like that you always have to go back to a specific town to get just a download of all the skills completely.
See, I think that begs the question, or the thought of having them spread out through Vera. Like, obviously there's not one space that you can find that person. Perhaps there's gonna be a couple of people, but they're like in the major cities along the way.
Yeah, like, and it could end up being, you know, certain people are going to have very specific types of skills. Like, there's going to be, you know, the so-and-so who protected the king on Sanctus from a barrage of blah, blah, blah people. He's going to have a lot of your very defensive and mitigation and protective type tank skills. And another one, like so-and-so the Valiant, who, you know, while so-and-so was protecting a king, this one was on the attacking force, protecting his, you know, whatever people from harm, but also like leading the charge by putting people flat on the ground, would have some more offensive tank skills and that type of thing.
Yeah. One thing I want to highlight, AV says, yes, would love to have a different trainer from every race. What if the trainer race was the same race as the primary race for that node. So for example, we know that the node is going to be Dunir influenced if most of the people questing there are Dunir, or Renkai or Vec influenced if most of the people there are Vec. So what if the trainer's race is also based on the node's race, primary like influence? I think that would be kind of cool. And maybe that would even have, that kind of goes back to like our previous conversation about like cultural influences on the skills. So maybe you'd have like a slightly different skill effect on it. So maybe if it's a Vec, there'd be like little stars. I don't know. I'm making stuff up, but something, something to incorporate. Like this is from that race that taught you. Now, adding to that, what do you think about, because Keyboard Oracle says, what about going on a pilgrimage to learn a special skill? I like that for capstone skills. What are your thoughts?
One more time.
What about going on a pilgrimage to learn a special skill from Keyboard Oracle?
Huge fan of that idea. That kind of goes along with what I was saying with different trainers for different skills, and feeding off of the first idea that Keyboard posted up there, which was as you use actions, you grow with them. Would be the addition that I added was having to travel around and you have to find specific skills out there in the wild by finding a breadcrumb quest and following that and figuring out what's going on, and you hunt down like the hermit whatever, teaching the whatever skill for rogue, and he's just hidden all his life, so he knows all about staying invisible.
You had to try and find the rogue trainer because he's invisibly hiding somewhere in the city. I want to go back real quick because I believe you played SWTOR, right? SWTOR. Absolutely Taco says, if you want to make archetypes matter in lore, then you need to SWTOR them. The storytelling, it was insane. You learned your class and felt like your class choice mattered. And I think that hits the nail on the head. I think that's what we all want from the game, right?
So yeah, my response to that is I would love if Ashes did that, for one. I would also love for Ashes to actually legitimately launch before 2043. Because they would have to start all the way over. They would need to plan how those quest lines are gonna impact each individual class with the nodes that rise and fall. Yeah. Without putting portions of a class quest in the middle of a grass field, because that's the state that node is in. But yeah, SWTOR questing was amazing. It was amazing. It's still the best single player MMO out there. Like, recommend everybody, if you haven't played it, find a class that resonates with you and just play that all the way through, and you'll love the storytelling.
Lizzie says 2042 or bust. Desrava says SWTOR. AV says right. Keep the feature creep at a minimum. That would be a kind of cool thing to maybe add as a future thing.
It would be amazing though.
I really want to go back because I mentioned this with who was it? Oh, that's too far back. Uh-oh. This is the problem with not having it divide by like stream. There we go. Where was that blurb? I was going to go back to it. There's Enzo's, Fupo's, Avi's. Arthas, yes. So Arthas says, bards should loot specific items that they take back to a tavern to craft into a song and then play it, and when the other players listen to it, it unlocks a lore quest for everyone who listens to the song. Now, the thing I wanted to bring up with this, for one, I think that's really cool. That'd be cool if that could be done. But on a similar yet different vein, someone suggested of lore beats from major in-game events that bards can then reenact as a skill, and that gave me the idea from Final Fantasy XIV when you're doing a raid or like a boss and it drops like those music sheets, and then you can play those music sheets from the boss fight. I think that kind of gave me that vibe. So like you could maybe as a bard or even just as somebody who can play an instrument, because I think they said that they want everybody to be able to play an instrument. So it would be kind of cool if you could get that drop of a music sheet and be able to play that in town or in a tavern, for example. And that's a cool way to show off that you completed a hard raid or like a dungeon or something too.
Yeah, Yeah, and the music sheets that you could, while
Yeah,
you're in your little
I know
housing,
it
you can hit
does.
play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be neat to do something like that, and also like different music drop items could happen from different specific bosses, and you got to combine certain pieces to turn it into, as Arthas was saying, a specific musical piece that's in the game, but you can only unlock it by defeating specific bosses
Yeah.
that maybe have a similar theme or a continuous story between them.
Yeah.
And you happen to unlock the right nodes and get the right boss kills in order for those pieces to drop, to be able to tell that epic tale.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of gave me like the down by the river from Baldur's Gate 3, vibes.
Yeah.
And you can play different things. Like you can even get other people to join in. So maybe it could be like a bard specific thing where the bard has to start it and then other people with instruments can join in to play along with them. Other parts of the instruments, like the orchestra, if you will. And then, together you guys are playing some stuff. I thought that would be kind of cool. But also, I mean, what if, going back to the initial idea posed in chat, what if like there was a special bard quest that you had to go down to get that music piece that then unlocked it for everybody else, which also was a part of the node leveling up, or like a huge thing happening in the world nearby. So any bards that came across it would be able to do that and kind of get that unlock.
I think, as the future owner of a tavern in Vera, it would be awesome if something like that were to be unlocked by a bard. It would automatically unlock it for the tavern that he or she crafted it in, for lack of better phrasing.
So like we could play it on.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool. Yeah. Could that be player at the tavern? Yeah. I like that. Like that just gave me the flashback to Critical Role, where Ashley was like crafting this mechanism on how she was playing music, and it was like that like wax crank that she had to go through, and it was like playing the tune. She was like cranking it so it would play the like a music box, basically the way a music box works, but with like wax. So something like that. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Duz and Wizzy are talking about playing Zelda music in Final Fantasy XIV. But the reason why I wanted to go back to, yes, the wax cylinder. See, thank you, AV. You knew what I was talking about. But the reason why I wanted to go back to that is because, going back to Senator Dodo, it's an interesting username, they were suggesting things like summons from Vera, not only being from Vera, but also not being too commonplace. Like your typical boar, for example, wouldn't necessarily be a summon, but a more unique version of said boar could be summonable, where it's not like a bird, but it's a Veran bird. Of a certain type. I'm not sure. And then the other thing that they suggested was something like different dungeons, depending on the culture. It would reflect that culture's way of living. So if there's a lot of traps, you would kind of get that idea for the rogue to disable it, that maybe that culture was primarily about protecting their things, so they put a lot of traps in their dungeons. Things like that. I thought that was really cool too. I wonder if a level 1 bard starts the triangle and work their way up to sitar or bagpipes. I like it. Needs more cowbell.
Indeed. Yeah, I definitely think that all the summons should come from Vera. Except for maybe if you were to do summoner mage, let's say, because they're more magical-ish, and they could maybe almost craft summons that could be creatures that came from Sanctus.
Yeah.
Because it's more like a mage is kind of harnessing the source or the essence rather, even more so than a summoner archetype alone would do.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
We can shape it a little bit more. Maybe that could be something that sets their class apart. Or summoner, like double strong summoner might be able to do something like that, but all the other ones are kind of stuck with just Varan creatures.
Yeah. Keyboard Oracle says, are they planning on rewarding exploration? I think they are, but they're also planning on being able to rein you back in. And I think that's what the story, what do you call those events? I forgot what they were exactly. The
like
random story hooks. Yeah.
Where it was like, it would have like a week of this phase of the storyline and then another phase of the storyline.
Well, no, it was more so meaning like there's that event that kind of populated. There was the guy with the caravan, and it was on live stream where Steven was trying to help him, and then he was like, oh, by the way, I need you to report back to this person, and that person happened to have the quest that would put you back into the main story arc.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It was kind of like a side hook that would help you get back on track in case you didn't know to go talk to them first. I thought that was really cool.
To reel you back in.
Yeah. It'd also be cool to be able to have the bard reenact an important moment in history once the lore is found too. I think that was kind of what the vibe that I got from like when they were showing us that one like 2D version where it's like the castle and the dragon. I could see something like that happening, or like it's Tumok in a tree. So little arrows attacking it. I don't know. Maybe like a lava bomb coming down on top of it is like, I don't know.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it'd be really nifty. I just know that, I mean, they couldn't do too much like that, I'm sure, or else other classes will start to feel left out.
Oh, absolutely. But like, for example, I think it would be amazing if your archetype, like, oh, I'm so glad a cleric is here, or oh, I'm so glad a tank is here. Just something that kind of speaks to, I recognize that you are playing a certain class, and draws from that, even if it's not something to the level of like, oh, thank Shoal that you're here, Vertec. I could really use a tank right now. Like, I don't know if they would go that level, but that would be amazing if they did, because that would make me feel like I'm actually in this world and they care about me instead of, hello, adventurer. I could use somebody capable as yourself. Like,
adventurer.
That works, but it's also pretty like vague, where like it's a blanket statement versus like something that's more like, this is talking to me specifically. I'm not just another face. But also, to be honest, for somebody who's like a war chief or something like that, or like a warden or what have you, where they're dealing with a lot of people coming through, maybe having something vague like that, or like, oh, thank God, somebody else who's capable, hurry, get in there, might not be a bad idea.
That being said, really nice documentaries like Log Horizon show us that even when one is playing in a video game or living in a video game for long enough, the NPCs still call you adventurer. True. It's very funny, actually. One of our guildmates is super excited for another season of that anime to come out, and is like, do you think they're gonna show us another crafting thing and that maybe Ashes could pull from it? And I was like, I don't know, it's an anime. Like, it's a little unrealistic for a video game unless you want it to never come out. Yeah, it's tricky to try and pull a crafting system out of an anime because there's a technical aspect, right? Like, there's the fun.
Plus, there's the balancing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just adding that. I wasn't trying to cut you off. My bad.
Oh, no worries.
Oracle.
Yeah, it's a little tricky.
Keyboard Oracle says, even better. They say, oh no, a tank. You'll struggle with this one. Thank you, Grim.
That's where Vertex says, shove it, NPC. I'm gonna go beat it now. It's going down.
I'll show you struggling.
Yeah, and I run in and just destroy it.
Oh, Penn was not happy with the last outcome and wishes for there to be another champion of the hill.
Penn would.
But I would also like to see what else, because again, it's going back to like, how would you like to see character archetypes integrated into Ash's lore and storytelling? And I think it'd be really cool to have, again, like your quest line where you get like class specific items from said quest line. So maybe not your best in slot, but something that's like hinting at what could be a good build, but also at the same exact time, I'm wondering if they did that, if that would kind of push forward the idea of a meta because they're saying, hey, you're gonna want these stats because this is the ring we're giving you, you know. So that kind of makes me not sure, unless they can give you a couple of different rings for healing that have different stat priorities on them.
That still makes me wonder how many different healing and tanking styles there are going to be.
Yeah.
Like, and that are going to be effective, I should also say. But, like, which ones can really make a difference? Because oh man, so many different ways to damage.
Yeah. Sorry, I was laughing because Does Revis just won with the #1 fan finger. I just imagined him taking it from Wizzy and be like, "This is mine now."
His finger's on fire.
It's the weapon, not the user. Exactly. But GG on the updated backgrounds. Thank you. They're not really updated. We've had these for a little while. This is just our Tavern Talk background. But you know, Penn says recipes are good rewards as well, and I always agree with that. I think it'd be nice to see some recipe options. But like, how else would we integrate archetypes into the lore outside of just definitely seeing, you know, the history of where that came from? I mean, wouldn't it be cool if maybe some of the initial trainers were Tolnar before things were truly built up? Because after all, they stayed in Vera this entire time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think it would be a cool idea for them to try to do it, even if my imagination can't always think of all the different ways they could do it.
Yeah.
Because it would set them apart to something similar to like how SOTOR is just such an epic thing, because every time you start a new class, you start questing, it's maybe not always 100% different, because there's always going to be like, you know, non-class quest. But yeah, it is so incredibly different that it just feels like a whole other experience, and the ones that you have to do that are common to everybody just kind of disappear for you, and you just experience the actual quest line for that class, and it just feels great.
Yeah. Snowelf says, you'd think that the Tolnar would own most of the land for being present during it all, right? Because like they stuck out, you know, but maybe they just prefer to own the land that's hidden in the Underrealms, because, you know, safe. Why venture out? Or maybe they evolved long enough from staying hidden in the Underrealms that they prefer being in darkness or in the underground instead of the harsh light of the surface. Keyboard Oracle says, will seasons and time of day affect actions? Do you know? Like, someone said the other day that winter will make ice spell stronger. Yes. Intrepid, specifically Steven, has mentioned previously that seasons will affect at least some of the mage skills that they mentioned. I sent out the wiki link there that has a lot of the information that we know about. I can't remember everything off the top of my head, but yeah, that's just one thing for sure that they were talking about. Tolnar and many warring tribes who hide like rats and hate like... Oh no, Pen. But
oh lordy.
Yeah, I think that...
But that works.
I think that like making sure that there's this very kind of subtle or not subtle way of like giving a nod to things like, yes, the Tolnar stayed on Sanctus, so maybe they know how to harness the energy a little bit more, and maybe we need to learn from them. And also, yes, like this is the way, like this essence is something new that we're learning. And that's kind of why I really like the idea of selecting maybe your classes in the character screen, but then the NPC is saying, hey, you seem like someone who'd be a good fit for a class that you picked role. You should go check out or talk to so-and-so located over there for more information on how you can help. And that's the person that you talk to, and they talk to you about how you harness specifically that essence. Because again, we were talking the other day, Vertac, with Vladis, who was live streaming. We're talking about how his take is that, you know, if you run out of mana then that's a problem for your class kind of thing. But to the point of not every class will have mana, there's different energy or resource types. Maybe that is what your trainer will explain to you, is how to harness the essence for your class type, whether it's a rage or divine power, or maybe it is mana, things like that. The real Tolnar were the friends we made along the way. Because Tolnar never left, they should be more attuned to the essence. They didn't go generous. That's exactly what I'm getting at, Dresh. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
what are your thoughts?
Sorry, I had a thought and then it poofed. Just when
the trainer kind of telling you how to attune to the essence for your class type and like explaining what the essence is.
Yeah, I think that should definitely be a thing, because to me it's going to be a giant plot hole if people go from a world without magic, they arrive on a world with magic, and they just start casting spells like normal. But excuse me. Also, to touch on the comment you made with Vladis and the mana, the running out of mana just is a big feels bad. Agreed, it's a feels bad thing, but I've always been of the opinion that there should be a class resource of some kind. It doesn't have to be mana. Just there should be a resource that you need to manage, because you shouldn't just have infinite energy to just keep doing all the things. Like there should be something to manage. You can do a lot of small hits in a row, or you can save up for the big ones, or you can save some of it to use an escape skill or whatever. Like there should be some kind of management of a resource.
Yeah.
That you then have to build back up in one way, shape, or form, or even build up your gear in order to restore that resource over time.
Yeah. Keyboard said would love to see a survey about what class secondary race people are planning to be. I can definitely put something like that in the Discord if people want, where you can choose for your primary character what race, primary and secondary you want to be. And or I could even do like, I don't know if it's worth doing all the 64 but okay, wisp. But like, yeah, I could try to figure out something for that, because I mean, yeah, there's something to be set apart, but there's also like, depending on your guild, are you set apart in your guild? Hello, Erode, welcome in. We are doing well. How about yourself? Hera says, so one question I have, and I think this pinpoints a bit of an issue with this, is that each server is different. Not every node will develop the same way. Would trainers act as hermitages out in the world outside of cities and towns? I think from my experience of Alpha 1, and feel free to add your thoughts for tech, there's the initial landing spot that we went into where there was already NPCs set up in like encampments. So I think the first NPC would be there, and then I could see it being that as a node levels from 0 to 1, where it's just like the little tents are being set up, that there's a trainer that's coming there, kind of thing.
Yeah, see, then the question is, on top of that, like, what tier should trainers start appearing?
That is a good question.
Because if it's at tier 2, then like, I think it ends up being like 50. Well, I mean, if you're also including the metros and everything above that, yeah, there's going to be a gazillion nodes that have different trainers on them, instead of being an actual centralized, like, you got to go to the trainer. It would be, hey, just run about a mile that way and you're going to hit a node, and that node will have a train there.
Yeah.
Or you could run in that direction or that direction or that direction or that direction the same amount of time.
Yeah. I'd also like to see any sort of storyline that's talking about how some of the Tolnar are essentially teaming up with these outsiders, if you will, that are coming back to Vera. That'd be kind of interesting. Penn says, I've always liked trainers for D&D. Forcing players gold sync to level is always a good idea. And I think it's just more so like the the feeling behind it, right? Like, I don't just magically know how to do stuff for my job. I have a boss who's more experienced than I am and teaches me things, or suggests people who have more experience that teach things to me for my job. So I have to talk to somebody and learn something. I don't just suddenly, after 3 years of coding, know how to do this like intense thing of coding.
Just up and know it.
Yeah. So for me, I kind of like that a little bit. I doubt Steven would ever pull the plug on scribes. He's always praised the notion of logging server history. Yeah, and that's in reference to Eroj talking about wanting to know if the server history is still on the roadmap. I would love to see a faction of the Tolnar that is against the newcomers. I mean, I feel like that's kind of a natural thing. I would almost expect there to be a faction of Tolnar that is against the newcomers, because after all, they've stayed on Sanctus or Vera this entire time, whereas the rest of us fled to Sanctus. So that's kind of why I was highlighting a group of them working with the newcomers versus like being against them. Because I don't know, imagine just in your home city, suddenly this group of people can't come back and they're like, yes, we're here to save you guys. By the way, we came from this other planet. Like, you should just trust us now. I'd be like, sus.
Yeah.
You gonna say BTW? You have a brain fart, didn't you?
I did.
Hera says, oh, wait, hold on. But I work in renovations, and today I saw a very expensive fancy food fan, and have never done it before. Okay. Hera says, what about the idea of archetype class factions? A college of wizards with branches out in the world to teach and train for players regardless of how nodes develop. Yeah, I'm just saying I could see like the natural development of these trainers coming into the nodes through the node development, node leveling. But I mean, there's nothing to say that there can't be a traveling trainer. It's just, you know, making sure that you can track them down. Like that one PC guard that like walks back and forth between like Iron Forge and another location, and you had to like try to find them somewhere along that road. Eventually you'll run into them.
Yeah. And real quick, Iraj, Tavern's great tonight, by the way. And Iraj mentioned the I want to ask if this is still in the AMA, the server history.
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about, right?
And that one, I was just looking it up there, by the way, just to kind of dig into it and refresh on exactly what's been said. And as far as I know, yeah, that's still, because I think I was trying to see if I could find like the most current statement on that. But yeah, I think there was one just like at the end of last year at least, where he was talking about it being a thing that scribes would be able to, basically they would report back by having experienced it, seen something in the world, and then you make it back to the library and then it's recorded. That's kind of how that would work.
I would like to know how many players will be on A2 servers in the play. I'm sure they'll tell us on Friday. This is a solution that go to war with the other nodes and raise your forces. But yeah. I guess that kind of brings me. It is getting kind of close to 10, and we don't have anybody else joining us, but that is getting me to the point of the topic of AMA, you know, other things, because I mean, you kind of brought it back to that anyway. Pretty excited for AMA. It is a live stream. It is the forum AMA is what they said. So Steven will be live answering questions from the Ashes of Creation forums. And I'm excited to kind of hear what the roadmap is, because that's the other thing that they're intending on covering is the roadmap for Alpha 2. So there's going to be a lot of information coming out of Friday. And then Saturday we have Tangents of Creation on. And we'll be discussing the AMA on Saturday. So, and then I think they might be going live right after, so we might just raid into them going live.
Yeah, might just raid right on over.
So, But yeah, really excited to have them on again. It's been a little while. We had them when they first started, and they've been doing pretty well. So really happy to hear their thoughts on the roadmap and everything. Who can afford to pay attention? It costs so much.
Really want to see what that roadmap looks like.
Yeah.
And see how far out they have planned and how many like solid, like no matter what state we're in, we're going to be introducing these things at these specific points in time. And to see, I think one of the bigger questions people have and have had for the longest time is how long are they expecting the Alpha 2 to run for?
Right.
See if they have even an estimate. Like current plans are we're going to have Alpha 2 in development for 2 years or whatever it happens to be. Like,
what do you think the timeline is? If you had to give your best guess, because I've heard 2 years, I've heard 3 years. Yeah, I mean, Burns just did his 3rd season of Bespoke, and a lot of people were saying 2027 for the launch date.
Yeah, I don't see it, and I think I've kept my number pretty stable for a couple years now. Is I don't see an Alpha 2 going any less than a year and a half, 2 years. Like that's like the minimum it's going to go for. I think it could go up to 3 to 3.5. I think beyond that might get a little bit nutso, and people will really start losing faith if they hit longer than like a 3-year mark.
That makes sense. We do not know what they have hidden from us exactly. I've always been on 2027, 18 months, more than 4 the game would burn out. I mean, honestly, people said that about Alpha 2 not coming out more than a year or 2 after Alpha 1. And I still see a very strong community. That, granted, there are people that are leaving because they're tired of waiting on Ashes to come out and they've lost interest. But, I mean, that's to each their own, right? Like, I am not going anywhere. I backed this game on Kickstarter. I'm just chilling, honestly. I'm working on the Golden Feather. You guys really liked the newest video that I did on my thoughts on Node Wars, so I'm looking at making more solo content on Ashes. You know, so like I'm chilling. I got enough things to keep my focus until Ashes comes out. I'm really excited to test though.
Same. Yeah, Wizzy, some stay forever.
Forever. Are people still going to participate in an alpha for more than a year? I think the people that are like Vertec and I, who actually really like testing games, yes. The people who joined it because it was the hype thing, probably not. Like once they open, and I'm anticipating them telling us the cost of the keys for Alpha 2 on Friday as well. I'm not saying they're going to, but if they're going to have a roadmap, I'm anticipating that to be part of it. But I think some people will probably buy access to the Alpha 2 via the key that they're reopening, but then lose interest after it kind of isn't becoming like the thing, you know, that everybody's talking about. Which, I mean, that's a whole other conversation. Let me know if you guys want to hear us talk about it. The topic of, you know, should Alpha 2 be a hot commodity, or is it okay if it kind of simmers down as time goes on? My opinion, I'm happy to delve into it much more deeply, but my opinion is I'm fine if it's very simmered, honestly. It's just a testing phase. It's not the actual launch. But I can go into more of my thoughts on that another time if you guys are interested.
Yeah. I don't really mind how long Alpha 2 is going to last, as long as there's not like an imperative point where they start saying, oh my gosh, we're going to start ramping up, and then it's just like not an actual ramp up. Like they hit the 1.5 year mark and they're like, all right, we're going to start ramping up here soon, but that ramp up takes another 1.5 years. Like,
yeah.
Relax. But yeah, it's a test it until it's done being tested and it's ready to go.
Yeah.
Drew plays. Oh wow, check that out.
I literally just DM'd you. Vertec. I was like, who should we raid? And as soon as I hit enter, Wizzy redeemed the guy to raid, and I was like, nope, that works.
Yeah, that's why I don't know if it showed across my face. I was kind of confused for a moment because I heard the Badoop But then I saw Wizzy pop the Wizzy's message pop up with redeemed guide to raid. I was like, that makes noise now. It sounds like Discord. That's crazy.
It sounds like Discord. Yeah. Megisto says, I think 2 to 3 years is fair. I mean, to be honest, Aroj, I bet everybody would have either who have already spent the money would have wished that they had spent the money for those, or are bummed because they did spend the money instead of holding out when Intrepid said that they might open the keys again. I honestly held out personally because I was gonna see if they were gonna give out more keys like as a giveaway, because they just did the Valentine's thing, and before that they did the food thing. So I expected there to be some more giveaways, if nothing else, when they needed more. So, I mean, I do get where you're coming from. People have expressed that, but at the same time, like, I personally held out to see if they were going to open the keys. And if not, then cool, whatevs. I would try and vie for a key, because the other thought that I have is when they finally do announce the official content creators, I think it would make sense for those official content creators to also maybe have keys to give out as well as a part of the welcoming of official content creators, as like an event type thing. I
can't imagine a content creator program where the content creators don't immediately, once the program is formed, have something to do to celebrate that the program got created.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, to me, the way that I think about it, Alpha 2 is going on for years, right? If you think about how much would you pay for World of Warcraft, right? World of Warcraft's $15 a month. And then how many months would you have to have played World of Warcraft for that $250 to be worth it? And if she's actually super into it, like she says she thinks she might, I think it would still pay off at the end of the day, even if you thought of it as pre-purchasing X amount of months of testing, for example.
Yeah, I mean, just 2 years would be more than enough.
Yeah.
Like 2 years over however many years you're trying to spend on the game and have her participate in just 24 months. Well, actually, it's only 15. I mean, shoot. That's like, is that even a full 2 years?
AV says 4 years. Penn says I'm cool with spending $350 to Intrepid for no reason. I mean, honestly, same. That's why I was just fine with buying cosmetics, because I'm like, yeah, it's supporting Intrepid. I want them to be successful. They obviously don't need our money for the base game, but anything extra that they earn will just help. So that's how I look at it. When we backed, I looked at it as helping the game and not really what I got out of it. What I got out of it was kind of just perks.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't know? You were just throwing that out there. Okay.
Yeah, it's like 16, 17 months, so it's not even a full year and a half even.
I don't know, Eroj. I don't know. Well, you know what? Let her just try it in Alpha 2 and let her decide, because somebody who, like, for example, I might think that tank is a high skill cap, and Vertex is like, what you talking about?
Yeah, I personally see Bard as it's going to be a low skill floor, but a high skill ceiling.
Yeah, I could see that exactly.
Easy to enter in. You choose some good buffs. They're all AoE, and you can be super helpful by just existing and pushing buttons that give people buffs.
Yeah.
But you could be an excellent addition to a team that's absolutely invaluable if you know what your team does, how they play, and you mix the right types and numbers of buffs in the right ways.
But also, you just never know. Maybe she'll naturally find a way to play a class that is a way that's different for other people playing that class that just fits her so well. You know, you never know. There's so much that you can do with these. My A2 price prediction, A2 keys only $180 for the 18-month play. That's a lot. But, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's anybody's guess, honestly. And I don't think we're in a position to be upset about pricing because we don't know pricing. So just putting that out there. Like, maybe we'll find out on Friday. Fingers crossed that we do, so that way I could put to rest all these random prices that I see. $30, $180. It's a pretty big range, you know.
We'll put out $100 for A2 only. DM.
I think you meant 15 a month, but yeah. 2 years, 360. So yeah, it's more expensive than the 250. $15 a year. I'd pay $15 a year to play a video game.
Yeah, right. Right.
Bard is not a main healer class, but does supplement add sustain. Yeah, but we have no idea how secondary of a cleric could augment the bard to be more of a primary. Like it be somewhere between a cleric primary and a bard only without the cleric secondary, and then maybe the bard cleric would be like in the middle between the two. We don't know. I'd pay $50 a month for EOC. Very fair. I wonder if Intrepid will need the monthly. Will up the monthly to 20 due to inflation. I mean, a lot of other games haven't. I don't foresee them doing it. Tank yelling at you for playing Taylor Swift when they wanted to hear Snoop Dogg. All right.
What if it's a Swifty Snoop mashup?
Oh my god. On that note, we'll instead of reading Snoop Dogg, we'll raid Droog Plays. Not the greatest segue that I've ever come up with, but sipping on healing pots. Exactly.
It was a valiant effort, though.
I know, I tried. But T-Swizzle. But yes, AOC merch. They are working on it. I did see another Ashes response post pop up saying that they're working on them. But yep. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this chat about archetypes and stories and stuff. And I saw Drew in Vladis's chat the other day with Burns when they were talking about the new series that Burns put out. So if you guys haven't checked that out, I also recommend you go watch the new series. Actually, Annie, who's part of Tangents of Creation and who's going to be on our show on Saturday, is a part of this season of Bespoke. So yeah.
Word.
Vertec is going to try to game this week. He is currently not at home.
Yeah.
And the Mead quest was yesterday, so I don't think he had the internet or the bandwidth to stream, like the mental bandwidth to stream. But I'm gonna go ahead and get this raid started. Did that work? I don't think that worked. Maybe I do it here.
Didn't do the raid part.
I did /raid. Maybe the invalid username. I will go look up how to actually spell that username if you would like to do our closing.
All right, Droog_plays.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, hey everybody. As always, thank you so much for hanging out with us. So we say it every time because we mean it every time. You guys are amazing. You're hanging out with us. You are chatting. You are contributing to conversation, which means that we have somebody to interact with, and we love interacting with you peoples.
Yes.
You're amazing. We love you so much for it. So, cheers to you. Thank you.
Yes. And, I mean, there's not always a cover charge. Sometimes there is. But just saying, if you'd like to donate to the tavern, it does help a lot. So.
It does. Indeed. Well, everybody, until we catch you next time, do have yourselves a great day. We'll see you on Saturday, if not before.
Absolutely. And we're going to raid over to Droog Plays, who is currently talking about Ash's Bard Q&A. So that'll be fun. Some more talks. And cheers to Roach for gifting Flying Mohawk a sub.
Thank you for gifting that tier 1 sub.
Thanks for the stream. Have a good night. You guys as well.
Bye.
Bye.